today I'm going to be going over multiplying and dividing with standard form. So to do these questions you need to be able to know the indices laws, so I recommend you learn that first, then come to watch this video. So whenever you are multiplying when the numbers are in standard form, the first thing you do is you multiply the integers together. So in this case we'd get 6, as 3 multiplied by 2 is 6. And then the next step is to multiply the powers together, and if you remember that x to the power of a multiplied by x to the power of b is equal to x to the power of a plus b. So when you're multiplying you add the powers. So in this case with the tens we can just add the powers. So for this question we have 10 to the 4 and 10 to the 3. So if we add the 4 and the 3 we get 7. So it'd be multiplied to 10 to the power of 7. So when you're multiplying standard form you multiply the integers and you add the powers of 10. If the integer we got was bigger than 10, then we'd have to put it into standard form. But because in this case it's lower than 10, we can just leave it as this. So it'd be 6 multiplied by 10 to the power of 7. Okay, I've got one for you to try. Pause the video, have a go, come back to watch the solution. Okay, so first of all, let's multiply the integers. So 5 multiplied by 4, that'd be 20. And now we can add the powers, so 6 add 2, that would be 8, so it'd be 10 to the power of 8. However, this is not the final answer as this is not in standard form. So we need to make the 20 a number less than 10, so we can write it as 2, but now we need to multiply it by 10 to the 9. Basically, as we have divided the left part by 10, we must multiply the right part by 10, so that's why it goes up to 10 to the 9. So the final answer to that question is 2 multiplied by 10 to the power of 9. So remember when you're doing calculations with standard form to put the final answer into standard form, as 20 is not in standard form. Okay, I'm now going to go through dividing with standard form. So dividing is similar to multiplying, so you divide the integers and you'd remember the dividing indices law where you would subtract the indices. So in this case we did a 6 minus 3 to get 3. A common mistake with the dividing questions, students will often do the 6 divided by the 3 when you're meant to minus it, not divide it. So let's divide the integers. We'll get 4 as 8 divided by 2 is 4. And then 6 minus 3, that's going to be 3. So it's going to be 10 to the power of 3. So that's the final answer. Okay, I've got one for you to try. Pause the video, have a go, come back to watch the solution. Okay, so let's divide the integers. So 6 divided by 3, that's going to be 2. And now let's subtract the indices. So it's going to be minus 2 minus negative 5. And when you have two minuses, that becomes a plus. So it's going to be negative 2 plus 5, and that is equal to 3. As it's the same as 5 minus 2, so it's going to be to the power of 3. So that's the final answer. Okay, I've got some more questions for you to try. Pause the video, have a go, come back to watch the solutions. So let's go over the solutions. So we've got the first question. So we'll multiply the integers together to get 8, and we add the indices to get 5. So it's 8 multiplied by 10 to the 5. Okay, so the next question. So we're going to divide the integers. So we're going to get 3 as 9 divided by 3 is 3. So now if we minus the indices, as when we're dividing we subtract them. So 5 minus 2, that's going to be 3. So it's going to be 10 to the power of 3. So the final answer would be 3 multiplied by 10 to the power of 3. Okay, next question. We've got a multiplying question. So we'll multiply the integers to get 21. And now we need to add the indices, as when we're multiplying we add them. So we've got minus 3 add 4, which is the same as 4 minus 3, and that is equal to 1. So that's going to be 10 to the power of 1. But we must write it in standard form, so we must change the 21 to 2.1, and it's going to be multiplied by 10 to the 2. And that's because we have divided the left by 10, so we must multiply the right by 10. So the final answer would be 2.1 multiplied by 10 to the 2. Okay, final question. We have a dividing question. So it's going to be 3 over 6 multiplied by 10 to the power. So now we must subtract the indices as we're dividing, and 6 minus 3 is 3. So it's going to be 10 to the 3. But let's change the 3 over 6 into a decimal. You can't write standard form as fractions. So 3 over 6 is the same as a half, as if you divide the top and bottom by 3, you get 1 over 2, and that is the same as 0.5. So you can write it as 0.5 multiplied by 10 to the 3, but this is not standard form. So if we move the 5 1 to the left, then we get 5, which is standard form, but now we must adjust the power. So it's going to be 10 to the 2. As we have multiplied the left by 10, we must divide the right by 10. A good way to check it is by multiplying them out and putting them back into ordinary numbers. If we multiply it by 10 once, we'd get 5, and then 10 twice, 10 3 times, we'd get 500. And then we can check this. Is this right as well? Well, 5 multiplied by 10 once is 50, 10 again is 500. So yes, I recommend double checking that you've done it right by multiplying it out. So the final answer would be 5 multiplied by 10 to the 2. Nice work, you've now mastered multiplying and dividing with standard form. In the next video, we'll take this even further and look at adding and subtracting with standard form. So don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss it. Comment down below what videos you want to see next. Click on this video that YouTube picked for you to ace your exams.